Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the free daily coaching hangout. This is Monday morning. Today is a Mindset Monday, and this morning we're going to talk a little bit about personal and professional development. Now, normally here on free daily coaching, we each and every Monday through Friday, we meet at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so that's 7 a.m. Pacific. And each day of the week, we have a different focus. So I want to encourage you to visit us over at www.freedailycoaching.com to be able to come and register for the live webinars and actually participate in real time. So what we're doing this morning is a little bit about professional and personal development. And the reason that we're going to talk about this specific topic is because I've experienced it. I'm guessing that other people are experiencing this. And because there's been other people, other leaders, other individuals, other individuals just in general looking for this information. So let me go ahead and let me see if I can't do a screen share really quick. And I'm working on a different computer, so we're not going to do slides, but we will. Let me pull some stuff up. All right, so let me come back on screen for you here. All right, so we won't do a screen share because I'm not on my laptop, so I don't have those slides. So good morning to each and every one of you that are here live. I see quite a few people over joining us on the live webinar this morning. Whitman, good morning. Craig, good morning to you. Mario and Angela, good morning. Marcia, good morning. Bob, Clive, Leanne. Bill, Chris, as always, Janice, welcome. Good morning. All right, so good to see you guys. Good to see there's people over on YouTube watching as well. So what we wanted to talk about this morning specifically, when we're talking about personal and professional development, I think we're really talking about one and the same. Because if we start to develop ourselves in our professional lives and we start to do better there, we can apply those methods and techniques over into our personal life, and the opposite is true as well. So you have the ability to take what you're learning in your personal life and move it over into your professional life. And for those of you that are working from home or creating an online business or a work from home business, and you're looking to do something with personal development, you're looking to build that growth, then I want to suggest one key idea. And this idea is one that I believe will be able to help you better assess what it is that's really holding you back, or what is really one of the obstacles or challenges that you're facing. Now, what I want to suggest this morning in our talk about personal and professional development is this idea of procrastination and this idea of fear and how the two tie together. So I want you to think about, and you could apply this in both your professional or personal life right now. I want you to think of an example of something that it is that you would like to get done, a task, an item, something that you know that you wanted to get done. However, you have fear associated with this. And I'll give you some examples of some of the ideas of fear. So I want to first say some of the ideas, the thoughts, right? And then we'll talk about the actual fear. So some of the thoughts, some of the things that we think are, but I don't know how to do this, right? So somehow we feel like we have a talent deficit, right? Like we don't have the skill set to accomplish a specific task or to get something done, right? Or maybe it's something that is just something that's super tedious or super uninteresting, right? It's just a task that has to be accomplished. So we don't really have a lot of motivation to go and do it. Like, let's say something like, you could think like, I've got things that I need to get cleaned up out in the garage and get more organized, but it's just really, when you think about it, it's kind of boring, right? I'm not really interested. And that goes kind of along with, like, you don't really feel like doing it, right? It's just kind of like, bleh. And so we're gonna address those things. The other big fear is, or big idea that we go through is, what if I can't cut it, right? What if I don't do good enough, right? So that's another one of these ideas that the thought pattern that goes through our head. Hey, what if I'm not good enough, right? So now let's talk about what are these actual fears, right? That lend themselves to adding to this idea of procrastination, right? Why we're not getting things accomplished that we really are required to accomplish to get to some of our goals. So let's talk about these fears. The fear that we're gonna fail or that we're gonna not do very well. This is probably the one that pops up the most of us down, right? This idea, especially if it's you've not previously done before, right? So that leads us to this next idea, this fear of the unknown, right? That whatever it is that you're doing, you haven't done it before, you haven't done it that many times, right? You haven't become proficient in it. And so because you're not comfortable with that task, right? The actions of that task, you have fear surrounding it because it's kind of unknown, right? Which also makes you, and leads into this fear of being uncomfortable, right? Because it's easy to do things that you're comfortable with, right? It's easy to go to a place where all the people that you know in the room, you already know them and they're your friends. They're like, hey, Bill, hey, John, hey, right? It's easy to come over to free daily coaching in the morning and say what's up to people. It's super easy to come over and be like, hey, what's up, Chris? Right? Because Chris is here all the time. It's totally cool to be like, hey, what's up, Clive and Bill? What's up, Jose? Hey, Janice. Hey, Whitman. Hey, Craig. Right? Because you know that those people are here and they're going to be interactive. So if you're brand new, if there's someone that's new here, right? They're not necessarily now feeling that uncomfortable feeling. Why? Because it's very open. It's an atmosphere where the people are comfortable. So it's much easier to do that than it would be to go somewhere where we were feeling uncomfortable, right? So we tend to put those things off. And then this idea that we're gonna start out and we're gonna do something, and not that we're just gonna do it wrong, but we're gonna start in the wrong place, right? Like, oh, well, I should have done this first, or I should have started over here. So then we wait, we put things off because we're not gonna do it in fear that we'll start in the wrong place and we'll do something out of order. So I want you to think about in your business, in your professional development, or as you're developing yourself in your personal life, are there things that you're not doing? And this is things that, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've identified some of these, and we're gonna talk about the solution in just a minute here. Have you identified some of these fears? The fear of failure, or that you're not gonna do so great. The fear of just simply not having the experience of what you don't know. The feeling of not feeling comfortable, of not being in a familiar environment. Or just the feeling of not knowing where to begin, of feeling that, almost that feeling of overwhelm. And if you can say yes to any of those fears, and you can say, yes, I've experienced some of this, then you can say to yourself, okay, I'm not allowing myself either professional or personal development because I'm stunting my growth. I'm stunting the ability for this personal development, these areas of personal development for me to move forward, whether it's in your professional life or it's in your personal life. If you're trying to develop and you're moving and trying to move forward and these things are slowing you down, they're not gonna go away. This is the reality. These things don't just all of a sudden dissipate. What happens is over time, we put something off and it's because of this fear and it starts to grow. It's like a speed bump and it's like we don't drive over the speed bump and we drive around and thinking that it's gonna go away someday. And in reality, every time we go around, it's like when we turn around, we kick up dirt onto that speed bump, and it makes it a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And so that fear, right, gets out of control. It almost becomes unmanageable, the fear itself. And the fear isn't even reality, right? This fear is just this idea that we're creating. And so then with that fear becoming bigger, that procrastination becomes even stronger. And so we're encouraging and enforcing and even building this muscle of procrastination when we do that. So how can we turn that around? How can you start to grow personally? How can you start to have some professional development, some personal development? And how can you start to grow in this specific area? Well, one simple, easy way to be able to manage this, and when I say manage this, I mean to be able to start to take a look at this, is to be able to expose the fear, right? So this morning we're talking about procrastination, and I'm doing exactly that. I'm exposing this fear in a way in which I'm sharing it with all of you. I'm saying, hey, listen, I've had this experience in my business, in my own personal development. How can I now talk about this and share this so that I can start taking some of these actions and I can start to grow? So I can have some more personal and professional development. How is that possible? Well, right now I can bring it to the forefront. I can expose it and say, hey, these are things that are hindering our growth as individuals on a personal level, and also on a professional level. These types of fears are hindering our growth, and this is why. Why? Because they're fostering a procrastination behavior. They're putting things off that could be accomplished, could be completed had we not allowed that fear to override, right? Because that's what really happens. We let the fear overtake us, and then we don't grow personally. We don't grow professionally. Why? Because the fear keeps us into this place where we think we don't know enough skills. We're not going to learn the skills, right? All those thoughts, right? I'm not going to be able to cut it, right? I don't really feel like this. It's kind of boring. I don't know how to do it, right? What if I don't do it right? What if I start in the wrong place, right? All of these things start to take over. So when we expose it, when we say, hey, this is a real thing, when we shine a light on it and say, hey, this is real, that's the first step, right? That's the first neutralizing action that we can do, is say, hey, whoa, I can realize that in some areas, and I can not just realize it, but I can see it, and I can say, yes, this is happening. I'm being honest, right? I'm saying this is happening. There's areas in my life where I'm not allowing myself to grow because I simply have fear, because I think I'm not going to do it good, or for whatever reason. So then once we can admit that, and we can expose these ideas, these fears, whether they're totally unrealistic fears, right? Or if it's a realistic fear, either way, once we can see it, then we can expose it. Now we can really look at it and say, hey, is this a real fear? Is this a real fear, or is this a groundless fear? Is this fear totally based in my mind of something that's totally not in reality? Or is this an actual fear? Let me give you an example. A real fear would be that you have a terrarium, right? A big glass terrarium, like an aquarium, but without water, and you have a snake in there, right? And it's a constricting kind of snake, and it hasn't been fed in a week because you've been out of town, and you wake up and the snake's out of the thing. That's a real, realistic fear, right? That's a real fear. This idea that we have as home business owners, we have this fear of failure. That's the most common one, right? That we won't do well, is just really an easy fear to overcome, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So first we expose it, we shine the light and go, hey, I'm having this fear. Then we start to neutralize it. We start to neutralize the fear and say, hey, you know what? I'm having this. I recognize that this is occurring. So now that I recognize it, I'm going to neutralize it. I'm going to pause it because I've recognized it. Now I'm going to do specific actions. I'm going to take actions. I'm going to behave in a way that goes the opposite of this to show myself that this fear is no longer real. So what we're really doing is we're like almost applying a scientific method to our personal development. We're applying a scientific method to our professional development, and we're doing that intentionally. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like instead of the idea in our head, I have to, and then the fill in that blank, whatever that action is that we're afraid to take, we're giving this idea like I have to, whatever this is in your business or your professional life. And this idea that we're having is something colossal, something monumental. And in reality, there's most likely a series of smaller actions that we can take so that we can test our idea. So we can see if we're really going to fail. So instead of just diving, boom, head first right off the cliff, we're going to go and swim around the pool a little bit, right? We're going to go and take a little bit of action and get a result. We're going to take a little bit of action and get a result. We're going to take some action and get a result. And when we do that, we're creating a new tape. We're creating a new story in our mind. Now we're getting a different result. Because before we were afraid to take action because we don't want to not succeed, right? We don't want to fail. So instead of taking this big grandiose thing, this big grandiose action, like tomorrow I have to be the most successful online marketer ever, instead of saying that, because we're afraid we'll fail, I won't become the guy that or the gal that I want, I won't have the success that I want to achieve, I won't do this, I won't do that. Instead of having that fear and letting that fear not allow us to take action, what if we just take one small action and then get a result? To see that we could actually take an action and we could actually follow through with it, and that it wouldn't be a failure, that everything wouldn't crumble. And now we're starting to build a new answer. Why? Well, because now when our head starts to fear and say, hey, I don't know, I've never done that, I'll probably fail, we have something to go back and say, wait a second, you know what? I just did this 2 days ago. I just did this yesterday and it worked, right? So it's reinforcing the positive, this new behavior, this new positive behavior, so that when this fear idea comes into our mind, we say, wait a minute, I'm recognizing this and neutralizing this. Now I'm going to move forward because now I can take actions. Whether it's, even if it's the smallest step, we can take some small little actions, and they're like little tests, right? So the idea here is that you're going to have to do this multiple times, because the first time you run a test, the first time you go and take an action, you may not get an amazing result. You might not get the life-changing lightning bolt result that makes you never fear taking that new action again. You have to do it again, and another little test, and another little test. Okay, now I'm going to take this action. Now I'm going to take this action. Now, I want to address something else that we have, and this is a huge one, is that a lot of the required tasks or actions that are necessary in building a business or in developing ourselves in either personal development, in our business and professional development, attaining new skill sets, or doing things that we hadn't have to do previous either employment opportunities or previous opportunities that we were working in, or in previous models in our home-based business, we didn't have to do certain things. So these new actions that we have to take, these new steps that we have to take, some of them are quite honestly just not that exciting. They're kind of boring. They're sometimes even tedious. And there are a lot of different options, including, and what a lot of people recommend is outsourcing some of this. And what I recommend is insourcing until you can afford to outsource. A lot of people don't have the financial resources in the beginning to be able to outsource everything. And the reality is you're probably going to need to know, right? You're going to be required to have the information on how to set up the things that you're doing so that you could teach someone that you were outsourcing to do that. So how do we get motivated to do these tedious tasks, to do the things that we don't want to do? Well, we don't, right? Everyone's like, what? I thought you were going to tell us the answer. I am going to tell you the answer, but you don't become motivated to do the things that you really just don't want to do. That's not a reality. That doesn't happen. What does happen is that motivation and that desire to accomplish those tasks comes from actually taking action, and that's it. So we don't get motivated to do something that we don't particularly care to do. Let's say you're not let's say I'm going to give a personal development. This would be in the personal development. Let's say you're not in good shape right now, and you would like to be in better physical shape so that you could take care of your family better, so that you could feel better, so that you could be a better member of society. There's a lot of different reasons why you want to feel better. If you're going to do that, you might not be motivated every single day to wake up and go for a run. You might not be motivated every day to get up and exercise and do these things, right? That's a reality. However, there's also a reality that when you start to take those actions, when instead of, even when you're not motivated, when you get up and you go and do the exercise, that what happens is the exercise actually triggers the motivation. The action that you can take, in this case, the exercise, that's what gives you the motivator. That action that you take makes you feel good and feel good that you got something accomplished. In addition, the exercise has some physiological benefits, right? That helps in reinforce that with chemicals and endorphins and all that that's happening inside of you. So what happens is the motivation comes as a result of the action, not vice versa. The action doesn't come because of a result of that you were motivated to do it. Some of these actions are going to come, or some of these actions are going to get accomplished because you simply go and do them, and then the motivation to do them and continually to do them will be reinforced because of the action itself. And so this idea that, oh, that's boring, and oh, I just really don't want to do that. Well, guess what? There's a lot of things that a lot of us don't want to do. But we have to step through that fear of being uncomfortable. We have to step through that fear of not knowing what's on the other side. We have to step through that fear of boredom and that tediousness so that we can actually get the motivation, so that we can actually start to grow and develop. Personal development and personal and professional growth doesn't mean that we take an action and then it automatically, we just do something, we get it, everything works and everything is hunky-dory. This is a process that happens over and over and over on a daily basis. You know, I was thinking about this morning when I was reading about this specific topic, and I was doing a little bit more research, and I was thinking about these people that we think, right, quote unquote, we think are highly motivated. These people that when you see what they're doing in their life and you're like, wow, you're just a ball of energy, and you're just, you know, you're all, you know, you're going 24 hours a day and you're all over the place and you're super motivated. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, you know, I don't think it's that those people are just super motivated, like there's something outside like pushing them to go. It's because they're focused, and the motivation comes from having taken the actions before. You know what I mean? Like when they wake up early because they know when they wake up early, they're more productive. And when you're more productive, you're more profitable. And when you're more profitable, you're able to take care of your family, you're able to donate more and be more charitable, and you're able to give more. And so that financial burden that part goes off of your plate. Do that because getting up early makes you money, but because the motive is productive and because of being more productive and all of those things happening, you want to do that, right? So then you start to think about these people that are going and going, and you see them going and they're super successful, and their idea is that they have these same fears, these same mental challenges, physical challenges, objections in their mind. Yet the only difference is instead of sitting in the fear and in the procrastination, they pressed outward instead of going inward. When they took the action, and then now you're afraid to take another result because you have to top what you did last time, right? So then it's like this fear of success. Reality is your mind, you getting results for us, so we're going to do it over and over and over again, even though sometimes it's uncomfortable, even though sometimes you're afraid, or I'm afraid, even though sometimes you don't think that you're going to be able to get the result that you want. So why not start taking little steps every single day, these little tiny actions towards personal development, these little tiny actions in your professional development every single day, these tests that you can run to reinforce the positive behavior, the behavior that's going to move you away from procrastination. Because this idea of procrastination and fear invading what you're doing on a regular basis is real, and it's happening all around you. So what if you specifically could just stop it? Well, maybe you can't stop it immediately, but you can neutralize it, and you can neutralize it by simply exposing the fact that this is a reality that's happening. Hey, I'm experiencing fear in this area. And then identifying, hey, why am I feeling afraid? Am I afraid because I'm not going to be able to do this? Am I afraid because it's uncomfortable? What is the fear? And then, hey, is that a realistic fear? Like Whitman has a snake in his house, right? Is it a realistic fear? Or is it a fear that's simply because we're uncomfortable? Is it a fear that's simply because we haven't been in this position before? Is it that type of fear? Is it a fear that we can simply overcome? You know, the snake a real fear that's grounded, we can overcome by, you know, going and finding real-time solutions, like going and finding a snake catcher or something, right? But these fears, they lurk inside of our mind. So the only way that we can neutralize them is expose them, shine light on them, and say, hey, I see this is the reality, I'm experiencing this, and now I'm gonna take opposite actions. And I'm gonna take small actions in the beginning to prove to myself, small tests over and over, to prove that this is not real. So professional and personal development, how does that play into your business and the success? Well, I believe it has everything to do with your success in business. If you're just starting out, if you're trying to build a home-based business, if you're trying to bring a brick and mortar business online, if you're trying to build a business for the very first time, having some professional development and having some personal development and recognizing where the obstacles and challenges that you face are, shining some light on them, and then being able to have a specific set of actions to take as a solution will be 100% beneficial to you and to the people that you go and serve with your product and service, with your coaching, with whatever your business is doing. You're going to be a more valuable resource because you've been willing to take a look at the obstacles and challenges and overcome them. And the reason to do that is simply so that you can go out and serve your customers and the people that are waiting for you to go out and serve them so that you can go out and do that in a more efficient, in a more effective way on a daily basis. I want to thank each and every one of you for visiting us here at freedailycoaching.com. If you're watching over on YouTube, visit us at www.freedailycoaching.com. You can register and participate with the live webinars. And then you can always go over and visit our website at burbledso.com and check out what we've got going on, get our newsletter, and stay connected. Thanks again for joining us here at Free Daily Coaching. We'll see you the next time.